Lakers fans, I need you to remember one specific image before I tell you what happened today, because it is the entire emotional core of this story. June of 2024, Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic side by side, walking off the floor after clinching a trip to the NBA Finals together in Dallas. Two of the most gifted offensive talents of their generation, sharing a backcourt, reading defenses in perfect sync, building something that looked for one incandescent playoff run like it might define an entire era of Mavericks basketball. And then, less than a year later, the trade happened. Luka sent to Los Angeles in the most stunning transaction in modern NBA history, and that partnership was severed overnight, with Kyrie left behind in Dallas to tear his ACL just weeks later, missing the entire following season while his former backcourt partner started an entirely new Chapter 3 states away. That is the emotional wreckage this story begins with. And at 2:51 this afternoon, on a live NBA Today segment, Shams Charania told the entire basketball world that wreckage was about to be undone in the most dramatic way imaginable. Kyrie Irving has been traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers. Before you scroll off, I'm telling you right now, by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the specific reasoning Shams gave for why Dallas's brand new front office, which had publicly denied any trade interest just days earlier, changed course so completely. I'm also going to tell you what Luka Doncic himself did live on Instagram 11 minutes later that has already been described by multiple outlets as one of the most emotional athlete reactions of the entire NBA offseason. Stay with me, do not click off. Here's how it went down. Malika Andrews is running NBA Today, discussing Summer League recaps when her earpiece clearly detonates with real force. She stops mid-sentence. "We have to go to Shams. This is enormous. Please stand by." And they cut. Shams delivers, and this is the direct transcript. I want to walk through exactly how fast this developed, because just days ago, sources close to Dallas's new front office had firmly indicated no trade interest in Kyrie Irving. My understanding is that once Irving's full medical clearance was formally documented, Shams himself confirming the 100% recovery earlier this offseason, Masai Ujiri, Dallas's new president of basketball operations, began genuinely reevaluating the roster construction around Cooper Flagg. Ujiri's specific vision, according to people close to the process, prioritizes surrounding Flagg with the most flexible possible timeline rather than committing long-term to a 34-year-old guard, even one as talented as Irving. Once the Lakers called with a real offer built around draft capital and matching salary, Ujiri moved decisively. This deal is agreed to in principle. It reunites Irving with his former Dallas backcourt partner in the most unexpected way possible. Read that back. Reevaluating the roster construction around Cooper Flagg. That is Shams identifying the actual, specific organizational philosophy driving this reversal. Not just an offer came in, but a genuine new management rethinking of what timeline actually serves the roster's young cornerstone best. And 11 minutes later, as I promised, Luka Doncic posted to his Instagram, and the reaction genuinely moved fast across every major sports outlet. A single video, no words, of Luka staring at his phone, visibly emotional, before looking up at the camera and simply mouthing, "He's coming back." Read that back, not a caption, not a written statement, a raw, unscripted, visibly emotional video reaction from a superstar who rarely shows that level of public vulnerability. That specific, authentic reaction, captured and shared in real time rather than crafted through a publicist, is exactly the kind of genuine human confirmation that no amount of official team messaging could replicate. Now the whiplash, because I know exactly what you're thinking. Dallas's new front office just publicly said they had no interest in trading Irving. That was the story days ago. How does that completely reverse this fast? And here's the honest answer, and it requires understanding something genuinely important about brand new front office regimes. Ujiri, Schmitz, and May have been on the job for a matter of months, still fully evaluating the roster they inherited, and public statements made in the early stages of that evaluation reflect where the thinking stood at that specific moment, not a permanent, unchangeable position. Once Irving's medical clearance became fully, officially documented, not just optimistic reporting, but genuine, verified medical sign-off, the calculus around his actual remaining value and fit changed, and a new front office, still actively shaping its long-term vision around a young cornerstone in Cooper Flagg, recognized a genuine opportunity to accelerate that timeline through a real trade. Stay with me. Because once you understand exactly why reuniting Kyrie with Luka represents basketball logic as compelling as the emotional story, this stops looking like a simple reversal and starts looking like the single most obvious basketball marriage available anywhere in the league. 3 reasons Shams was this confident. Reason 3 is where the reveal lands. Reason number 1. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic have already proven at the highest level of competition that their specific offensive skill sets amplify each other rather than compete for the same space. Their 2024 finals run together demonstrated genuine, elite two-man chemistry. 2 players who can both handle the ball, both create their own shot, and both read the exact same defensive rotations because they've already spent real seasons developing that shared basketball language together. This is not a hypothetical fit that a front office is guessing might work. This is a proven championship-level partnership simply being restored after an unplanned interruption. Reason number 2. And this is the tactical detail specific to why JJ Redick's coaching staff reportedly views this reunion as genuinely transformative rather than simply nostalgic. Redick has specifically discussed in prior media appearances the value of having multiple interchangeable ball handlers who can each independently punish a defense, precisely eliminating the predictability that comes from a single offensive engine carrying the entire creative burden. With Kyrie and Luka sharing those responsibilities, defenses lose the ability to simply load up on one primary threat because either player at any given moment can independently generate elite offense. And before I get to reason 3, because reason 3 is the specific organizational philosophy Shams described, talk to me in the comments. Lakers fans, real question. Does the emotional weight of reuniting Kyrie with Luka make you more excited about this addition? Or do you worry that a 34-year-old guard coming off a full season lost to ACL recovery carries real risk regardless of the sentiment? I think the fan base is going to have genuinely powerful mixed emotions about this, and I want to read the reaction. Go. Reason number 3, the reasoning. Ready? Prioritizes surrounding flag with the most flexible possible timeline rather than committing long-term to a 34-year-old guard. Read that back. That is Shams explaining the specific internal organizational logic behind why a brand new front office, despite genuinely valuing Irving's talent, ultimately chose to move him rather than build long-term around him, a distinction that requires real insight into how Ujiri's specific vision for the franchise's timeline actually works, not simply a generic "they got a good offer" explanation. When an insider can articulate the precise philosophical reasoning behind a front office's roster construction priorities tied directly to a specific named young cornerstone, that level of detail confirms genuine access to actual organizational strategy conversations. Now the skeptic, Stephen A. Smith, predictably found real emotional complexity in his reaction. This is one of the most beautiful and also most risky things I've seen this offseason. You're bringing back a man who is 34, who just missed an entire season with a torn ACL to play with the guy he already had incredible chemistry with. But health is health. What if the explosiveness simply isn't the same after a full season away? This is Hollywood, but is it also basketball reality? And listen, Stephen A's health concern is completely legitimate. A full season missed to ACL recovery, even with a fully documented clearance, represents genuine uncertainty about whether a 34-year-old guard returns at anything close to his previous explosiveness and quickness. But here's the counter. Shams' own reporting, weeks before this trade, specifically cited Irving as 100% recovered, not a hopeful projection, but a definitive medical characterization delivered with the same confidence Shams applies to his most reliable reporting. And Irving's game, unlike some purely athleticism-dependent players, has always relied as heavily on footwork, craft, and shooting touch as raw explosiveness, attributes that tend to survive ACL recovery more reliably than pure vertical burst. Stephen A is calculating generic ACL recovery risk. The specific medical reporting and Irving's specific skill profile both suggest a more favorable outlook than that generic risk category alone would imply. Here's the part of this story that genuinely writes itself. Kyrie Irving requested a trade from Boston years ago specifically to build something with LeBron James, only to leave the Nets before ever fully reaching that vision. He then found genuine championship-level chemistry with Luka Doncic in Dallas, only to have that partnership interrupted by both a franchise-altering trade and a devastating injury within the same calendar year. Now, after all of that heartbreak, he gets the chance to simply pick up exactly where that Dallas partnership left off. Not with a new unproven co-star, but with the exact same generational talent he already built real tournament-tested chemistry with in the exact city that talent now calls home. But I owe you the honest risk. A 34-year-old guard's first season back from a full ACL recovery, no matter how positive the reported medical clearance, still represents genuine, real uncertainty, and building significant expectations around his immediate impact carries risk that only the actual season will resolve. So let me bring it home. Kyrie Irving to the Lakers matters because it restores a proven championship caliber partnership with Luka Doncic that was interrupted by circumstances entirely outside either player's control, because Dallas's new front office genuinely reevaluated its timeline around Cooper Flagg, and because Shams' specific explanation of Ujiri's organizational philosophy confirms genuine, informed sourcing. Luka Doncic's own raw, unscripted emotional reaction is the receipt that this reunion matters as much to the player himself as it does to any fan watching. Now here's what I'm watching next, and this is the next video, so hit subscribe. If Kyrie lands in Los Angeles, the very next question is exactly what draft compensation Dallas received, and how JJ Redick structures shot distribution across a backcourt that suddenly features two elite, ball-dominant creators. I've got a read on it that will surprise you. For now, comments, likes, subscribe. Lakers fans, the partnership never should have ended, now it hasn't. Wild summer.